I'm Kamil Sáček. I'm a product development manager in Navertica company from Brno, Czech Republic, and I am MVP for 19 years already.
My name is Freddy Kristiansen. I'm a technical evangelist working at Microsoft in Lyngby. Not an MVP, so envious at Kamil, but I've been lucky enough to work on a lot of cool stuff over the last many years, and NuGet is one of the things I've been working on, so take it away.
Okay, what we will talk about today, that's the agenda for today. Yep, sorry, R2D to play it with my slides. There is a translation for you. We will talk about the dream. We will talk about what is NuGet, how it works, and about some basics we need to incorporate into the into our processes to support usage of the NuGet in our development work and CI/CDs and everything. We will mention even the problem of the runtime packages and what is runtime package and why we are using them, and what is the special things on them in connection with NuGet. And of course, we will show you how you can work with NuGet, for example, through BC Container Helper and ALGo for GitHub. And we will give some advice for you when you came back and you will speak about NuGet with your managers or someone, why you should use them. Okay, first about the dream. The dream, just try to imagine Business Central development without using AL download symbol. Yeah. Because what you are doing now, you want to develop something and you create the app and now you need to download the symbols. To download the symbols, you need environment first. Yeah? But you need to have environment of correct version, of course. You need environment with all the dependencies you want to use in your app. And you need maybe some applications or at least symbols from third parties if you are building on top of work of some other partner, for example. And this is a problem because it delays the start of the development. I can't just, for example, if I need to fix one line in my code or a code of someone else and compile it and push to the Git repository and fire the pipelines, I can't without downloading the symbols. It means I need first the environment. Why? Yeah. And of course, it's possible to work like that, and it's possible thanks to the NuGet tool, and we will talk about that now. And short demo, how it looks when you are not using the download symbols. I will show you the example. I will go to the VS Code. Oh, sorry, again, R2D2 sometimes plays with my VS Code. I will need to clean up. He liked the Clippy and cats and everything. That's okay, close that. I have a clean application. There is no dependencies yet. I have only some name and platform version and application version, and of course the hello world. And I want to start to develop. I do the magic without downloading the symbols, having any environment somewhere running to download them. And you see that when the magic stops, I have in my AL packages folder the symbols I need to work. It was fast, and if I decided, okay, I don't want to work with 23.2, but 23.1, for example, I can change that, run the magic, and in a while I have symbols for 23.1. No problem, and we are happy, we can develop, we can compile, and everything. Of course, if I want to publish and test it, I will need the environment. But that's another story.
That looked pretty cool. I mean, why are we having a session? It looks like you're done already.
Yeah, it is working. It is working, even because you already spent some time on that to be able to do that. But of course, we are not there yet.
So Kamil reached out, or yeah, we actually had a lot of discussions going on NuGet over some time. But we actually did investigate other options, like in both Azure DevOps and in GitHub, you have a lot of different packaging mechanisms like Gems, Maven, Conda, Gradle, and so on and so forth. And they are all for different, like NPM for JavaScript, and I can't even remember what they all are. But NuGet is for .NET packages. And we've very quickly came to the conclusion that either Universal Packages or NuGet are the ones that we would use for this purpose. Universal Packages doesn't really provide anything. It is just like binary files in a storage, and then Universal Packages cannot be anonymous, so that one is out, and that leaves NuGet. NuGet isn't perfect, but it actually solves the problems. And by doing some magic around stuff, which is what we're going to talk about for the next 83 minutes and 31 seconds, is like, what is NuGet? How many people here know, like, in details what NuGet is?
Me.
Quite a few. That's good. It is, so I actually, when I still say NuGet, it's NuGet, but it's pronounced NuGet, they say. You pronounce it correctly, I don't. It is a package manager, really designed for .NET to distribute packages, centrally or on your own file system. In what is it under the hood? It is just a zip file with an extension called NuPkg. And when you unzip that, there's a manifest inside of that one and the files that you want other people to use. And then the magic comes from, like, when people get your package, like VS Code uses NuGet, Visual Studio uses NuGet, and why not also Business Central? So if we put some logic into the NuGet packages, then we can use the distribution model either from NuGet servers, or you could download stuff and put them on your local file shares and stuff like that.
Yeah, short demo, how it can looks like. Sorry. It's very easy to create a NuGet package. What you need only some nuspec file, which is XML file. And it's very easy to generate that for your application, because you need only the ID of the package, the version you are creating, title, description, authors, and other things. There are some optional things. You can include your license URL or anything what is supported. And you will put some dependencies metadata. It means on which other apps your app is depending and which versions. And you will somehow reference your app file, which should be part of the package. I just prepared 3 versions of my app here, or nuspec files for this. All is same application, just different versions, and I will create the package. I will show you the command file which I will use. I am using standard NuGet tool, which is free for usage, and I will need first to go to the correct directory. Sorry. And do the magic again. Create pack. Now it's creating the NuGet packages for me. You see these 3 files here. Of course, they are binary because they are zip files. But part of the process, what I did was even push these packages to some storage. In this case, the storage is just local file system. You can see that it's just folder on my disk. That could be still source for your packages. And I will show you how this storage looks like. That's the storage. There is a ID of the package, and subfolders are versions of the packages. And you have metadata and other information, other files from the package available, and the package itself with the app inside. Yeah? That's one possibility how you can distribute your packages, but of course, it's not what we will use for BC mostly. But it's really, really easy to generate the NuGet. How it should work when you are consuming the package. You want to use it. Someone created it, put it somewhere to some sources. We will talk about those possible sources later. And you want to consume it. What we need for that? First, we need the app.json, because inside there are the data we need to create everything, to ask for the correct NuGet package and consume that package later. Put the app.json to the mixer. We will add some list of sources from where we will download these packages. We will mix it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mr. Yoda just remembered me that we forgot to put some spice into that mixture. We need some rules we use during that process. We put the rules inside, mix it, and we will receive some NuGet packages we will use for development. When we look into these packages, of course, there are the app files, and we will use app files as a symbols or applications we will publish to our environments. Yeah. The process is easy, but it is about transforming data, and to be able to transform something, we need the transformation rules. It means if I have an app.json and there is some dependency, I need to be able to generate the correct package ID, which I will download. I need some sources of the NuGet packages. Of course, we will talk about that. And we need to somehow be sure that we download the correct versions of the packages. Because not every time I want the latest or lowest version or something like that. Yeah? And of course, we need somehow download then the result. As I mentioned, sometimes I need highest version, sometimes I need lowest version. If you will use some tool, check that this tool is supporting something like that, because it will help you to have a correct result for your development.
And as I mentioned earlier, we did have quite a few discussions about naming, right? It's always like that. If you need a name for something, people have opinions, and we had a lot of people with different opinions. In the beginning, I thought that, why don't we just use the app ID? I mean, it's like, it's the only thing that is unique for the app. Why don't we just use that? But rightfully so, people told me that we need to be able to actually look at the ID and see what it is, and not having to take the app ID and put it into a search machine to figure out what is this app. So we ended up with the naming being publisher.name.appid. That is a long name, because the app ID itself takes a lot of characters. And there's a tag in between. That tag can be a runtime, it can be a localization tag, it can be symbols. Like if you're downloading a package that only contains symbols, then that says .symbols.appid.
And this ID must be unique. It can't be reused by something else, even when it will be on different source, because everything is maybe cached locally. And if you once download the package with some ID and version from one source, it can't be different content if you download it from another source. it can't be. Yeah? It must be still same content if it has same ID and version.
Which immediately makes somebody think that's why they put the tag there, because the base app exists in a number of different localization and it has the same app ID. So we kind of had to do that one. We dislike it, but
Yep.
we have to do it. The content, again, disagreement. I thought it would be a good idea to be able to have like a number of apps in a package, so that if you download a package, you could like find all the apps that an app would like have a dependency on, if that was the only one. But I got convinced. Other people told me, no, one app per package, and one app per package is our recommendation. The dependencies, we need a full list of dependencies on, again, same naming algorithm, publisher name, tag, and app ID. And obviously, the version number comes as a dimension to that in NuGet. And for search and resolution, I, in Container Helper and Nail Go for GitHub, only use the app ID, which is what AppSource does, right? AppSource only searches for the app ID, and then it finds the right version of that. For NuGet and packet apps that Kamil is using, he's using the full package ID and version for that.
It has some downside that if some partner rename the application or change the publisher, the package resolution could fail because that. But for me, it's not a problem, because mostly we want to know about such as changes. We need to change our app.json to have correct publisher and correct application name, and everything will work again. That's okay. That's accept. For me, it's something I can accept. And when using standard tools, yeah, they will still work. I need just think about these possible breaking changes from other partners.
And for runtime packages, we are going to cover runtime packages later in the session. We found out that the only way to make this work is to have an empty NuGet package and then really put the app file in a referenced dependency to that NuGet package. But much more about that later. Yeah, some rules. Max one app file per package. Something about the ID, a maximum of 100 characters. The naming, the way that we calculate the name is by if the publisher and the app ID and the name of the app is longer than 100 characters, we will cut from the app name. So we'll keep the publisher and we'll keep the app ID, because we all use the app ID for finding the right package. And we're going to normalize the publisher and the app name. So we're going to remove everything that is not A to Z, and A to Z capitalized, 0 to 9, or is not an underscore or a minus. So it's not quite .NET namespace, because we include the minus, but else it's the same
but
as...
It's more readable, I think. That's,
yeah.
How long is the grid?
42 characters.
44
right?
characters. If you remove that from the 100, and you can imagine, for example, publisher having 60 characters in some cases or more. I already noticed something like that somewhere. There is maybe few characters for the app name. Don't please use too long publishers and too long application names, because you will have a problem with that. And not only for the 100 limit here, but we will see the other limitations in just a while.
We do support full 40-digit version numbers like major, minor, build and revision. And we also support like pre-release suffixes like alpha, beta, preview, whatever. So that when you are searching for preview packages, you can get that as well. We suggest taking authors and title description and everything from app.json, using that, and dependency must be included. On the dependencies, we include all the dependencies, including the dependencies that are from the dependencies in app.json, but also the application dependency and the platform dependency from app.json. The application dependency is only like one line in app.json, application : and version number. What we translate that to in dependencies for NuGet is Microsoft.application.localization, if that's the case, and then the version number, of course.
Yeah. If you are using W1, of course, there will be no tag in the Microsoft.application. That's the good side. That's you don't need to care about that if you are working on top of W1.
And we don't include the app ID on the application package, nor on the platform package. A very small demo. Let me see if my machine actually works. Here we are. Kamil showed you how to create a package with the NuGet command. Obviously, Container Helper will have some functions, or has some functions for this, like the new BC NuGet package. And let me just run that. And the next lines here really copy the package to a zip file and unzips it and shows what it contains. So if I just run this section, it will display the manifest in my window here and show the zip file just contains my app and the manifest that Kamil just showed you. And if we have a look at the manifest file here, it is really just taking the various properties that I found in app.json, adding those to the manifest, including the dependencies, and then we have this. I don't use the NuGet command or the packet command, anything like that, because one of the things that is special with Container Helper is it doesn't have dependencies on anything. So I don't have a dependency on having NuGet installed or packet installed. So I'm just using the standard zipping the package. If you want to do it differently, you can always unzip it and use NuGet pack to zip it, or you can like create the new spec yourself and just pack it. It's really, really easy. There's really no reason for getting stopped by that. Go back here. Let me see. So this is just a redisplay of the NuGet package, and the really important fields is the ID, the version, obviously the dependency to the application. So this one was built on with the dependency to Microsoft.application 21.5, meaning that I can install this app on any Business Central higher than 21.5. Business Central doesn't have this concept of saying maximum version, so it just assumes that this app can be installed on anything higher than that. The files section is really optional in NuGet. You don't have to provide that. My command do that, but you don't have to provide that. I don't know.
We are not doing that in one special case, but we will talk about that later.
Yeah, please be aware that Windows has like long file name problems. So even though we write 2024, we still only have 64K. No, we only have 255 characters for file names. Yes, we can put like a setting in our registry to like have long file names, but then the file names become a UNC path and stuff like fail from each other and doesn't work anymore. So keep names short. Use a short temp path name in order for the full cache path to work. This is not a problem if you're using the Container Helper stuff, because I'm actually not caching anything there. But that also means that that's a bit slower than the NuGet and the package stuff.
You can have even problem, for example, if you are working with application workspace in your Windows profile document folder or something, because that will be really, really deep folder name, and you will have much longer path than allowed very quickly, even when the package will have only short name. I needed, for example, change our temp files on our build agents to just CTMP or something like that, because the NuGet tools are working with temporary folder. It means I force them to use this short folder, and under that folder there is a NuGet package ID subfolder, and inside is the app file with the long name. It means, and if the ID could be 100 characters plus extension, you can see that you will very quickly go over that 255 characters.
And for runtime packages, again, we'll cover that later. But yeah, the real problem with runtime packages is that they have to be for a specific version of Business Central. So you really have multiple versions of the same app when they're built for various different versions of that. So let's cover that later.
Sources, okay. That's about how we can distribute the Business Central NuGet packages. We have multiple possibilities. Of course, everything is what NuGet is supporting. And the most used sources are Azure DevOps artifact feeds. You can use public feeds and private feeds. If you use public feed, anyone will have access to your NuGet package. And you can distribute it very easily then. But of course, sometimes some partners want to have some control over who is downloading their apps and so on. This source can be used as an upstream source, and I will show you upstreams and how it works in a short while. Private feeds could be used too. But of course, you need somehow give the access to the partner to that feed. And these feeds are not supported as upstream feeds in Azure DevOps server or cloud service. That's something which I don't like, but I can't do anything with that. There are many different requests already existing to this area where other developers are requesting new features for the upstreaming and so on, but there is no change in the Azure DevOps for that. You can use the GitHub package registry. Again, you can set them as anonymous, it means public, or you can have access token authorization or authentication for these sources, and it's mostly working that you invite someone to your repository or to the registry, and he will generate the access token he will use to access the packages in that source. It's not supported for the upstreaming in Azure DevOps. It means I can't easily connect my Azure DevOps feed with some package registry on GitHub, but of course you can use different way how to connect to that source, because it's still NuGet source. You can use directly that source in your scripts or tools or whatever you will use for working with NuGet, because I expect that in next years there will be many new tools created by really good developers and people who like to support the community to work with these NuGets, and I expect that it will be much easier than today. Of course, there is public service like NuGet.org. Those can be used to distribute NuGets too, but please don't trust these sources, because you don't know who published something there. And if you download the app and you will not check what's inside, you can very quickly find out that maybe the app is not what you expected, and something will happen maybe to customer's data if you push that application to the customer. Of course, publishers can reserve prefixes on these sources like NuGet.org. Like I expect that Microsoft have registered his prefix. It means anything starting with Microsoft will be from Microsoft because someone else can't publish anything like that there. But please be aware of this problem and don't trust these sources. And of course, you can use even other sources. I was telling you that you can use a local file system. It means you can use the shared file system on some server. You can use, for example, blob storage or anything. And if it have the support from the tool you will use for downloading the package, it's not a problem. But please try to use something which is commonly supported, because if you are publishing the package for others, these other partners needs to somehow easily consume the package from that source. Okay. Of course, even when you decide which service or which form of distributing your NuGet packages you will use, you can have multiple feeds or multiple sources created for your packages. Because, for example, you can have a feed for released versions and pre-released versions. Because you can have even the suffixes like beta and pre-release or something like that for the NuGet package, but you can even put these packages which are in pre-release state or something, just put them to different source than the versions which are already released. Both ways are legit. You can use both. Consumer then can decide if wants to download the pre-release or release version of the application, and it's easy to set up. You can have some daily builds, cumulative updates feeds, or hotfix feeds. It's on you, on your needs, how you will configure the sources you will offer to others. And if you are a consumer, you need to be prepared that you will need to decide which source you will use in which case. That's additional level we need to take into account when deciding which source will be used. In the test phase, we are right now in that test phase. Microsoft will provide 3 public feeds. We already have 2 examples how it will look like. There will be 1 feed for Microsoft applications. It means Microsoft.application and everything under that.
Also the first-party application, like, everything that's basically on the DVD or in
everything starting Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly.
Will be there. There will be separate feed with the same, nearly the same content, but the apps inside these packages will be only symbols. It means the packages will be smaller for downloading, but will include only the symbols. It means you can't publish them to the environment, but you can use them to compile your application in VS Code, for example. And it will be smaller for download. But you can use even the full packages if you want in VS Code. And third source will be the app source applications, but only symbols. Yeah? It means if you want to build on top of some app source application, you will be able to quickly compile your app with these symbols. Because you will be able to download these symbols directly from the feed. You will compile your app, but you can't publish it to some environment. You will need to, of course, be in contact with the publisher of the application and ask for a full package or something. If you are deploying, for example, to some on-prem container or anything outside the standard online sandbox, because in online sandbox, of course, you are able to install the application directly from app source, at least in some trial or something like that. Yeah? But it will allow us at least very quickly prepare the app, compile it, check what is inside, if we can extend it easily or not, and so on. Because even now you have access to the symbols. If you create some environment, online environment, you can install the app there, and then you can download the symbols now. That's why Microsoft can publish the symbols, because they are already publicly available. But it will be much easier for us because we don't need to go through the environment and installation and so on. We just download the symbols directly. And short demo, how these sources will look like. I will take my glasses because it's really small for me. This is the source of the Microsoft applications. You can see that there are really many applications already. And maybe you will find out that there are even applications you never know that they are existing, like exclude anonymized data sharing application and others. And you see that every application have many versions already. Yeah, it's long list since version 17. Oh, if we have all the hotfixes here, yeah, it's growing fastly. There is one thing. In Azure DevOps feed, you are limited in number of versions you can have in that feed. It's, I think, 5,000 versions. It's big number, but if you count the number of hotfixes which are released by Microsoft, if Microsoft will release every hotfix, I think that you counted it for 1 year or something that you will.
It's probably going to run out. I mean, quickly. So we'll find ways to make sure that how we handle that situation.
Yeah, it means that we have this feed now. Please don't look at the URL because it will be definitely changed. It will not be like that. It will be similar, but it is not final place or name how it will be used. Of course, if we look at these lists, and I will try to find, for example, Microsoft.application. Oh, sorry. You can see even that there are multiple packages with the different tags. Yeah, 80, Austria, and so on. You see all the localized applications. And if we look at the versions, again, we see how many there are for every package like that. It means, yep, it's growing very fast. That's the source of full package. There will be then similar with symbol packages, and we can use them in our environment. And for that, if you are on Azure DevOps, it's easy to consume because this is my feed in my company, in my account, and I can set up upstream sources. And upstream sources is something which will be contacted when someone is searching for something which is not in my feed. If it is not in my feed, it will look into the upstream feed. If it finds what is needed, the package will be downloaded and copied to my feed and will be used then. Be aware of that copy action here. Yeah? That's if you search something in upstream and it will be found, it will be copied to your feed. Your feed will grow. And depends how fast the versions will be changing and how you will work with the versions. It depends on that. The growth of your feed could be maybe more than you expect, but still, the price for gigabyte of the feed is not so high. It's just few cents, I think, per month per gigabyte. If I want to add new upstream, I have multiple choices here. I can use public source, but in public source I can use only the NuGet gallery. It means nuget.org, which we were talking about. Please don't trust it. Others are for other types of packages. Another possibility is feed in my organization, but it means my feeds maybe in another project, or I can add Azure Artifacts feed in another organization, but it means Azure DevOps organization, not tenant. It's still about the same Entra tenant, and it's written there. But there is a big but, and that's why I was able to use Freddy's feed, even when it is not in my tenant. Because if I select this choice, I need to create the feed locator. If I create the feed locator from Freddy's organization, project, and feed name, I will connect. Because his feed is anonymous, is public, and there is no authentication. And it should work. Yeah? It means, yeah, it should, because it worked. Trust me, it worked. 1 hour before the session, it stopped work. But luckily, because I already had downloaded the packages in my feed, everything what I will show you will work. Because it's using the local copy. And I hope that someone will fix that and it will work later again. Yeah. I will just enter the locator, check that it's NuGet, and put some name, edit, save it. Please don't forget to save, because many times I did that, forgot to save and say, why it's not working? Yeah, I forgot to save. We are not used to that from Business Central. Yeah? I have now 2 feeds here, and if I go back to my feed, I can search upstream sources for NuGet package, for example, Microsoft.application, again, search, and I will find all the versions available in that upstream feed, and you see that name of the upstream, because if there are multiple, you can receive multiple answers from different streams. And if you want manually, you can manually save that version into your feed and save it for your work, preventing downloading it again or later. That's the upstream source. In Azure DevOps, there are additional functionalities you can use because, for example, Azure DevOps feeds are supporting views. And every package version you put to the Azure DevOps feed, you can assign to some view. One view is default one, and you see that defaults are pre-release and release. It means I can promote the package to pre-release if it is pre-release version, and if, for example, later I decide it is released version quality, I can promote that version to the release. And then when I consuming the NuGet in the URL, I have the filter for the views, and I will receive only the versions for specific view. It means if I want only the released version, I will have add release, and the result will be only the released versions in my result. That's the fastest way how to work with released, pre-released, but if you want to use the suffixes, beta, pre-release, release, and so on, you can, if it fits your processes. Okay, that's about the feeds and sources. I'm sure that Freddy later will show you the source on the GitHub. I will go back to the presentation. Another part of the work with the NuGet packages is version limitation. Because we need to somehow limit which version the process will return to us when we ask, for example, for dependency which is compatible with specific BC version. It means, and if you imagine that the dependency tree could be complex things, complex graph, there must be some algorithm which will go through the graph and will resolve which version of each dependency will be downloaded. It could be time consuming, mainly if there are many hotfixes in the feed, and then you need some caching to be as fast as possible. And of course, many tools already solve that for us because many developers have the same problem, like in C# and so on. This is the example. On the left side, you see the ISV product, which is distributed as a NuGet packages. The major version of the application is same like a major version of Business Central for which the app is compatible, to just easily show you how it works. On the right side, we have some crystal ball cleaner application for some specific customer, which just make the crystal ball forecasting ISV solution much better for that customer because the crystal ball will be cleaner. And we have version 23 of our app. It means we are working on 23 because maybe that customer is not so lucky and is running on-prem. And he found out that their server is still 2019 server, which is not compatible or supported for BC 24. Yeah. And they can't upgrade yet because they need to wait for the new version of servers, and they are not in budget for this year. When we create new version, and we have already 24 version of the application on ISV side, if we try to use the latest, we will fail. The application will be not compiled, of course, because that. It means we need some tool how to limit which NuGet package we want to consume. It means that the ISV is depending on 24.1, we are depending on 23, and we need to do something with that to have the situation corrected because we need to consume that version in this case. It is not latest, but it is the latest for us, compatible with our conditions. And I will show you some small demo. Because I will show you how the tool works in my case. I will go to different branch of my example. It will be one with dependencies. I will force everything out and clean up. And you see that I have app with one dependency on the super cool extension Bing Maps PTE from some publisher with name Freddy Kristiansen. Yeah. Thanks for that extension. I don't know. Is using it someone? No. Sorry. And we go and do the magic. You see that I have the symbols from previous demo here, still 23.1 only, nothing more. And we are now downloading, and yep, I have Freddy Kristiansen Bing Map PTE application here downloaded for me. And because it is compatible with version 23. If I go and switch to version 21, and if I look into the feed of Freddy's versions, and we see which one is oldest supported, 21.5. I will switch to 21.2. I will do the magic. Do the magic. And I expect it will fail. Yep, we have error. And if I look into that, I am using the packet client. You see that there is a conflict detected, and it didn't found the correct Freddy Kristiansen Big Map PTE blah 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 compatible package for me, and it can't download it. That's okay. We expected that because we can't correctly resolve that. If I put 21.5 and do the magic, everything will be okay, and the application will be downloaded again correctly. Yeah, it is here, and we can work. How it works? If I look at the packet.dependency file, which is the file used by the packet client, which supports the work with the NuGet packages, and not only NuGet packages, but others. I have some source of the packages. That's my feed. This feed have some authorization, some password, which is in variable somewhere stored, and authentication basic. And I want NuGet package with that name, but I edit even my dependencies on standard Microsoft application. And this means I want anything which is 21.5 something. Any build, any patch, but it must be 21.5 Microsoft application. It means it cannot be 21.6, yeah, or higher.
So and you need a package of my package that has a dependency on Microsoft that application that is higher than that.
Yeah, it means I'm limiting the selection, the dependency graph resolution, and I want only that result. Not every tool have that, but it's very easy in Packet, and just by adding these lines, I'm limiting the search correctly, and I will get the correct result for what I need. Yeah? And that's the strong tool of the NuGet, because you have all the dependencies, all the metadata about the versions, and so on. You can resolve correctly which version will be downloaded to be compatible with your platform.
With that, we go to talk about runtime packages. So, what is a runtime package? It's much like FOB files in the bad old days, where we had a compiled image of your app. It can be installed on premises without having a license where you can insert into the extension something, whatever. Can't remember what Kamil told me, but it is a construct where you can like share your app with customers, pre-compiled for their version. It doesn't contain the AL source code, but it actually does contain the compiled C# source code. So it doesn't really it doesn't hide away your source code totally. You will be able to, given that you have a runtime package, to be able to actually see the compiled image of what code people have written.
You have mentioned that something like a FOB file. I think that's many people here don't know what's that. Who knows what's a FOB file? FOB file, yeah. Okay, sorry. Too much people know that still.
That reminds me of the first session I had about Docker, where I asked, how many people know what Docker is? And everybody raised their hand, and I said, what? It was a surprise. That was a surprise as well. Okay, anyway. It is only guaranteed to work on the same minor version and the same localization of Business Central as it was created for, which makes you have to create a whole lot of these runtime packages if you want to be absolutely sure that it works. Cannot be uploaded to app source, so runtime package doesn't work there. Can't be installed as a per-tenant extension. It can be used for DevOps purposes or for on-premises installation. It is an obfuscation of your IP. It is not a protection of your IP. So I think that that's clear. if you still want to use runtime packages, then like obviously, if we look at what we talked about earlier with normal NuGet packages, we have a number of packages in NuGet, and there's another dimension to that. We have the version of these packages. So it's two-dimensional. We have a list of packages, clicking versions. Now, adding runtime package to that mix makes it three-dimensional. We add the BC version to that. Any version of your app, like if you my app version 1 now needs to be available as a package for 21.0 Czech localization, 21.0 Danish localization, 21.1. I could actually spend
how many localizations we have?
Many. So it kind of makes this three-dimensional, and how do we solve that? We had quite a few discussions on that, and we want three-dimensional NuGet packages, or I don't know if that's a thing. But the essence is that one version of the app is available for many different versions. And if one of the suggestions was to add all the versions into the same package, so that if you find my app version 1, you will actually have both one version and the other version, so we have two runtime packages in the same app. The problem with that is that then we ship 24 of Business Central, and it is not possible to update an existing runtime package or an existing NuGet package. So had to find a different way. And the solution we found is to use something we call indirect packages, because it's really not something we could find anywhere else than this suggestion. And the indirect packages, if trying to explain how that works, is that you have a package on NuGet called the publisher.name.runtime.app.id. So the resolution, the dependencies will be going to that app ID, and they'll find this package, right? That package does not really contain anything. It's an empty package. But the indirect package, the empty package, which we call the indirect package, has a dependency on another package, which is, in this case, we have my.app.runtime. And the version number of your app, meaning that now we have like a relationship, basically a table relationship to that version of your app, and now we can have multiple packages or multiple versions of that package in that new feed. So
it does mean that the version of my app from the indirect package is now part of the ID of the package for that version specific.
And the actual package where the runtime package is inside will never be found by any of our...
Because there is no app ID.
Yeah, the app ID is not included in that one, so they'll like go under the radar, and we'll only find them as dependencies to the indirect package. And the runtime package, the package containing the runtime app, then has a dependency on Microsoft that application, and then square bracket, version number, comma, version number, parentheses. That is NuGet for saying larger than or equal 23.2 and less than 23.3. Meaning that if you go back to the resolution that Kamil just talked about, where I'm looking for something that satisfies the apps that I have, we will know that if we want to find this app for our version of Business Central 23.3, the first one will not satisfy that dependency. The second one will. So this one says no files in that one, and the runtime package is in the other one. And that one can only be used with app 23.3. So the dependencies really will point out that the first one can only be used with 23.2, and if we go to this one, when we then ship another version of Business Central, you don't have to create a new version of your app and create runtime packages for everything in order to create a new package, but you can just create another package and add that to the second feed of the version number of your app. So you can actually have multiple apps that will work in this way. But what about localizations? Are we really talking about 4-dimensional like NuGet packages? So we quickly decided that this thing having the localizations as part of the package. If we look at runtime packages, I think, so theoretically, a runtime package can break if it's compiled for one localization and running on a different localization if it's on the same version number. When I say theoretically, it's like if the change has to be like a parameter to a function with a different type. If I change the type in the US localization to string and it's a number in the Danish localization, or change the parameters for a function that's called, then the compiled image will actually fail because it's compiled towards a different type. How many times does that happen, that a localization has a different parameter set or different type actually than the other one? I don't think it's a common thing. But if you want to be absolutely sure, you need to compile it for every single localization. And then we decided if we want to do that, we are not going to create like another layer of indirections in NuGet. We say that people put the runtime packages into the localizations into a folder in the second package, the package containing the runtime package. You create one runtime package that are like in the root, and then a subfolder for each localization that has a special version of that. So if you ever find out that this localization needs a special version of my runtime package, then that is the solution to get around that.
Every time it's on you how you will choose the scale or the ratio between the cost and the outcome of using the runtime and generating all the combinations and have gigabytes of the runtime apps which will work, or you will have less versions which will work mostly in 95% or something like that. And if you find some which doesn't work, maybe you will fix only that one.
95 is a very low. I'd say 99.99 or
okay.
something like that. I think it's very, very, yeah. It is. You will probably never run into that. But anyway, I totally agree. So when a new Business Central version ships, you'll just create a new package of the NuGet package that actually contains the runtime package for that. This is the indirect package that has a dependency on the other package, which is in the same feed, and you'll have a number of versions in that one. So let's go to look at the actual new spec of the indirect package, where you'll have the ID and the version, and then you have a dependency on Freddy Kristiansen Bing Maps PTE runtime 5.1.23.0, version 1.0. You have application 21.5, you have platform, these are from app.json, that's the minimum version. And then in the actual new spec for the runtime package, you'll have the file section with the runtime package, and you'll have an application dependency pointing to the application that this one supports.
It's a really long name for the app file, yeah? You will have a problem with that file name.
Really? I mean, there's target
Freddy
and source.
Kristiansen Bing PT 5.1.23 point runtime 23.2.1. Yep, too much.
No. So, you've seen a few examples on how these things works on, as one slide before the demo, using the NuGet client and the packet client. Obviously, some of this stuff is also added to Container Helper and supported in ALGO as well, or we are working on supporting that in ALGO. But the functions are existing right now in Container Helper, and the functions that we added for that are these guys. Like, you can create a new package, you can push the package to NuGet, the same as NuGet add, really, if you had the NuGet client there. You can find a package, you can get and download the package. And then there's like these two Uber functions, like download BC NuGet package to folder, will download a package and all dependencies to that folder. And you will have publish BC NuGet package to container, which will download all packages, this package and all its dependencies, and publish them to the container in order of dependencies if they are not already installed in the container. So, as you can imagine, these functions are used when you run DevOps and you kind of need to install your dependencies. Kamil's methods using NuGet and Packet are, here I write probably. I think that is in order to satisfy myself for not saying they are faster, but I cannot. There might be situations where I'm faster than you, but I think in 99% of the cases, NuGet and Packet will be faster than the implementation in Container Helper, because Container Helper doesn't cache anything. It actually goes to the server and finds the packages and like looks at the dependencies. And in some cases, it can be a really, really, really long search before it finds the right package. And we might make that better, or somebody might find a better solution than what I cooked up. But let's look at that one. Let's have a look at the functions in Container Helper, if we can. That's not here. So I'm not going to show all the functions. I'm just going to show a few of them, like the get BC NuGet package. The way that it's implemented now, Kamil talked about upstream and stuff like that. That doesn't exist on GitHub. And what we use in Container Helper can use both Azure DevOps feeds, GitHub feeds, and NuGet.org. So the way that you do it is you set up a number of trusted feeds. In this case, I have one trusted feed that is my own on GitHub, Business Central apps indexed to JSON, and then the token is my authentication token that is added to my settings, and I can say the patterns for this one is I'll take all packages that are on that feed. I could here put like Microsoft.star if I trusted that, and the reason for that is obviously you can trust NuGet.org and Microsoft.star. You can also specify a code signing thumbprint if you only want to accept packages that have been signed by that author. So having a look at how this works, if I run these 3 lines, there'll be a lot of output here, but it downloads the package, and I'll have like a file name down here where the package have been downloaded to. If we have a look here, what it found, 12th version, the first version was 2.0.116. The last version was this, so the earliest version is that, and I actually asked for select earliest, so I got that one. I could have, of course, taken the other one. If we scroll down to the download BC NuGet package to folder, I'll trust a feed as well, that's the same feed, and I will download a package plus all its dependencies. And the download dependency says all but application, meaning that when it traverses the dependencies, it will stop when it reaches Microsoft .application. There's also a tag called all but Microsoft, meaning that it knows that all the Microsoft apps are in the artifacts for that one. But in this case, it found 4 apps, and what I was asking for, the app ID that I was asking for here, BC5, is the Danish version of my app. My Danish version has a dependency to W1, and W1 has a dependency to common and licensing. And by asking for the Danish version of my app, I then got all 4 apps downloaded to this folder and can use them to publish to whatever I want. I can also use the publish BC NuGet package to container, and I've created 2 containers already. The first one here, or actually that's this one, will take exactly what I just downloaded to this folder and publish to a container, so I'll run that to a BC24 container. And we'll see exactly the same. It's going to go through this one and find the packages, find the dependencies, and once it's done that, it will start publishing them, and probably either common or licensing comes first, because they don't have a dependency on anything. So it starts publishing common, and then it publishes the licensing, and then the W1, and then the Danish version. So the other example here actually uses runtime packages. And looking at that, it's the same thing. I'll just say I want to publish this app, 165 something, that is probably my Bing Maps PTE that nobody uses, to a container here. And I'll select the latest matching version. Now, my container here is a 23.2, I think. So what it's going to do is it's going to find the runtime package for that version. And it goes through and finds, oh, there's a 23.4. That's not good enough. There's a 23.3. That's also not good enough. Then it finds the 23.2. And then it downloads that and publishes that to my container. Obviously, if you had 1,000 versions out there, and I would like enumerate back from all of those, that will probably take more than a few seconds, and something that I don't want to demo here for sure. So that's a little about the functions that are in Container Helper. Let's look at the next one, which is ALGO for GitHub, and what that does for NuGet. It's work in progress, what we have in ALGO for GitHub today. By the way, that's my dog. But it's an AI photo of that. So you have 2 things. You can create a secret called GitHub Packages Context. You do that. ALGO starts publishing automatically all packages built to GitHub packages. And it uses that GitHub packages feed for package resolving, meaning that immediately by creating that secret as an organizational secret, all repositories in your organization will have access to all packages built by any repository in your organization for automatic dependency resolution. So that's a nice one to add if you have multiple repositories and they depend on each other. If you create a secret called a setting called Trusted NuGet Feeds, then ALGO for GitHub will automatically search these NuGet feeds for dependency resolution when looking for dependencies during build. And it will find whether it finds symbols, full packages, or runtime packages. Everything will be taken, but of course full apps will be preferred, and then symbols are run. I actually don't know it. I'll have to check that up, whether one is preferred over the other if it finds 2. The last one, if you create a secret called NuGet Context, it will also start publishing your apps to that NuGet feed. Again, full apps. It says runtime packs here.
Yep.
That doesn't work today. Today it publishes full apps there. And the runtime pack functionality is something we're looking into adding functionality for doing there. So that's an error on the slide. Sorry about that. Let's have a small demo of how ALGO for GitHub does these things. This one. This is not ALGO for GitHub. So let's have a look first at just my simple GHP, like GitHub Packages, my Danish version. I have created GitHub Packages context as an organizational secret, and I created a NuGet context as an organizational secret as well. If we have a look at the build in the deliver section, we'll see deliver to GitHub Packages and deliver to NuGet. The deliver to NuGet will deliver this package to the feed that says here, dev.azure.com, Freddy, DK, apps, something. I think that is what actually the feed that you
there is something
earlier.
Yeah. I can't read it. It's
and
something.
I try to zoom it up. Yeah, so
Yep.
that's one.
That's one.
And then it delivers to GitHub Packages as well, going to deliver here and finding the same URL, or that's NuGet package, GitHub Business Central apps. Now, looking at these feeds, looking at the My Apps feed on Azure DevOps, we'll see that this is actually the common one that it found. This is the Danish one that was built, but the common one here exists both in a Freddy K version, it doesn't exist in other versions, and then in several versions here, and it's going to find the right version when we go for that. Packages here, the versions of that. If we have a look inside the build for when it resolves the dependencies, when it builds like the Danish version, it will be looking for, it says, I have missing app dependencies to these two app IDs, and it's going to look for those in NuGet. And every time it downloads a package, it finds out that there's a new dependency, so I'll have to download that one as well. But the download BC NuGet packages to folder will solve all of that for ALGO and download everything there.
Means everything is plug and play.
Yes, as everything else, what we try to do in ALGO for GitHub is plug and play with ability to configure and
Can I somehow configure the process that if I want, for example, publish to two sources and from some reason, can I somehow have impact to that process?
If you want to publish to two different things, not by a setting.
Okay.
Then you'd have to create a small PowerShell script and add that to ALGO. So with that, I think back to you.
Yep. We are going to final things. Why to use the NuGet at all? Trying to summarize that for you. If you are on the publisher side, it's for you the easier if you share the packages for other partners to easily consume them, and they will find out that the application is good and they can easily download the application and work on it. They will definitely sell this app to their customers. It means it will be for you much bigger sales because, why I should sell something which is hard for me to use as a partner for my customers. Yeah? That's the biggest reason, because right now, if me as a VAR, I want to consume multiple applications from different publishers, I need to go to multiple portals, emails, some storages, and so on, manually download the packages or apps and do everything manually. If it will be unified and automatized, it's much easier, and I will support that definitely as a VAR. If you are on the consumer side, for you it means that the cost of the development of something on top of solution of someone else will be much cheaper. It will be faster because I don't need to create first the environment to download the symbols and start the development. I will just run the development because I will easily download the symbols for the VS Code. And if there are some other apps and I need runtime packages, for example, for specific version, I will easily download them and use them. And of course, if I will have symbols with correct version for my development in VS Code, the output will be better quality, because how you are working now, you have upJSON dependency on 23.2, but your only environment is 23.5. Download the symbols, it will work. I will do everything. Then you will compile the app, you will publish it to, for example, environment 23.2, and you find out that you used some feature which is not there, because it will not compile it, you will not publish it, yeah, because it will fail. That's a problem of the quality and everything. You will have correct versions in your process. And for every developer, it will be much faster to start the development. It will be less complications when using these apps and these processes. Shorter lead from beginning to start the development. I just need the app, run the magic through some, for example, in VS Code extension will be there in maybe 1 year, or it depends on others who will develop that, and you will be done and ready for development. That's the dream. We are not there still because we need a few more things from Microsoft side, a few maybe tools for the usability for all the developers, and yeah, that's the dream which is becoming reality. Act now. If you can, start to publish the NuGet packages, at least internally, consume the NuGet packages internally in your CI/CDs. We are doing that in our company already a long time. We just slightly changed the naming convention we were using to be in line with these rules. And we don't have a problem to just add, for example, upstream source in our feeds, and we are consuming already these temporary feeds from Freddy. They are not up to date yet, but if we are missing something, we just create fake package in our feed, and we can continue with working with these NuGet packages. Yeah, it means, yep, try to act now, consume that, prepare your CI/CDs for that, and you will be ready for the future. Now, time for the questions.
I think we had up here.
Freddy, I will let it on you.
Is there a plan to replace current behavior with download symbols with NuGet packages, or they will work together?
If it's a plan to be able to download symbols without NuGet packages?
I mean, if someday Microsoft decided to change current download symbols with using only NuGet packages, or
replace the download symbols with something which will work with NuGet packages.
So adding something inside of VS Code that can do that. Yeah, I mean, it's not on our plans right now. Anybody could actually do that, right? You guys could add a small gadget to a VS Code extension and add that, but maybe Microsoft will do that as well. Obviously, we haven't worked on that since we don't have our own feeds yet. So,
okay.
Oops. I think you were next here.
My question was basically pretty much the same, but an additional question was, from your perspective, does it make sense to do some kind of real package management in a backwards search? For example, let's say I have a reference to a dependency of a third-party app in my app. I have using version 24.0. The publisher is releasing 24.1. I do not recognize this, but some kind of package management like NuGet would do in Visual Studio would update the NuGet packages with a command, something like this. Would this make sense for you, or?
Are we talking about
package management, basically in VS Code for AL extension?
Yeah.
That's of course, everything have meaning if there is consumer for that. If you as a developer need that and you will be using something like that, why not? Yeah, that's sometimes we'll develop that. But for me, I need just run some function which will do the resolution for me and download the packages, like the script I was using. I don't need anything more, because if I want to add some dependency or something, I mostly know that info from somewhere. Yeah. Of course, I can imagine that there will be some catalog of packages and so on, but yeah, I don't see that as something which is broadly needed or partners will want to support. I don't know, because something like that, it's mostly the app source is source of these informations. Yeah, it means I will look there, find, but maybe we will find out in 1 or 2 years that something like that will be nice and someone will came with that. I don't know.
I think
right now, I can't imagine.
I think there's one big difference thinking about it between, like, if you create a Visual Studio project or anything like that. In this world, Business Central, you are not deciding whether the customer is upgraded to the latest version of that other app, right? That happens. And you guys just need to be prepared for that. So as Kamil said, like, he's running workflows with the earliest version and the latest version, and we're doing the same. So your next major workflow will like be taking the latest version of all these packages out there and report to you if there is a break or anything like that. And yeah, the current version workflow will probably do the same. Package management, I don't think that's something that we would invest in. I think, was it you with the next one? So, yeah.
Are there any scenarios where I should use runtime packages as a package consumer? Are there any scenarios where I have to?
There are no scenarios where you have to.
Or where I should
scenarios
use them?
where you only can get a runtime package. Like if you are depending on an app source app from some partner that don't want to give you the full app, then the only thing you might be able to get is the runtime package, if you can get that.
Mostly it's problem of the license. And for example, we hit one problem when we were deploying our app to customer's side with his license. We get a license error that we can't create table extension. But right now, it was a few weeks ago. We had no time to go deeper into that, if it's problem of configuration of our granule, because it was our app source app published to the on-prem system, or it is problem of the customer license on Microsoft side or something. But we solved it by publishing the runtime package, because runtime package could create the object regardless the license. Yeah? It means there are some licensing sites why you are using a runtime package to publish the app.
Hello. Thank you. I have a question about so the rainy summer day in Denmark, we decided to also use things like propagate dependencies in our apps. Is that going to work also here with NuGet packaging? So there's this property that you can have in your app.
Yeah,
JSON.
it's property, but it's just about how the code is compiled. It's not about the dependencies, because you are still depending on the app on top of your tree.
Yeah.
And you see all the functions under it. But the apps still have the dependencies on these apps.
The one that propagates, yes.
And it's still an app file.
Yeah.
So the Microsoft.application is actually an empty app file with propagate dependency, and we do nothing special for that in building all of that. So yes, that'll work.
Yeah, the propagate dependencies is just about what you see if you are depending on that app. It has nothing with the structure under it.
It's treated as a normal app, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, with the dependencies that it have. You got
Okay,
the last one? Yeah.
Last one?
Well, maybe I missed something or didn't understand everything, but can you use the runtime package as a symbol source?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, have we still some shirts, or we already?
We don't have any more.
We already don't have the shirts,
so
sorry.
You have 43 seconds to get an answer.
Does run AL pipeline supports installing apps from the feed, NuGet feed?
Need that one more. But
Run AL pipeline from BC Container Helper.
Yeah.
Does it support installing apps from the feed, NuGet feed?
Yes, it does, but it does that by. Oh, you have to specify. There's an override function there that's called install missing dependencies. ALGo for GitHub will provide that override when it calls run AL package, so you can have a look inside ALGo for GitHub what it does. But basically, that install missing dependencies is called that you provide, and then you basically just call download BC NuGet packages to folder as a response to that call.
Okay, thanks for your questions. Thanks for being here. And I hope that it's
beer time.
Yeah, sorry. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Sorry. Yep.